All right, so how do you go about approaching a flaw question? You read, no matter what question is, we're always going to read the stimulus first. So can you go ahead and read this one for us, Kamani?
Yes, if the play were successful, it would be adapted as a movie or revived at the Decade Festival, but it is not successful. We must regrettably conclude that it will neither be a movie nor be revived at the Decade Festival.
All right. So we read our stimulus, we make sure that we understand it. Did you catch all what we were saying here?
So it either can be adapted as a movie or revived at the Decade Festival. But if it's not, then the conclusion is that it will not neither be a movie nor revived at the Decade. Like I found the conclusion in like the premise, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So our conclusion is we must regrettably conclude that it will neither become a movie nor be revived at the Decade Festival. And whenever it says it, what is it referring to?
The play.
Play. Excellent. So what kind of condition does the word if introduce?
Sufficient.
Sufficient. So if the play were successful, so if the play is successful, what is necessary, or what is the necessary condition about this?
It would be adapted or revived at the festival.
Yes, it would be adapted as a movie or revived at the festival. But then we say that it is not successful. So we bring in a new condition, right? And we say not successful.
Right. So if it's not successful, we know nothing.
Yeah, because that's our only condition. So then we conclude that, but our conclusion says that we must conclude that it will be neither, because it's not successful, we try to conclude that it will neither become a movie and it will not become or will not become, or it will not be revived. What flaw do you see here?
They didn't do the condition, like the condition one.
Yeah, it's a false or I don't think it's a false. I call them all false contrapositive. It's
Yeah,
A mistaken negation,
right?
I think.
A false
Mistaken
negation. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So whenever we handle flaw questions, we ask ourselves, why these ones are pretty easy to see once you get they're pretty causation, or I mean sufficient necessary problem. But for other ones, we want to know, why does the support not add up to the conclusion? Like, why is there a gap here? And so once we see that it's a flaw question, we want to predict our answer. So this one's pretty easy to predict, where we say that they take something, or I guess, how would you say this in your own words? What we do here? What do? We say that we take a sufficient condition in a, what do we assume? We assume that by not having a sufficient condition, there's no other way for these two things to happen, right?
Right.
That would be how I would predict it in my own words. It's
right. These, I have a hard time like putting these into words. Like I know how to diagram, I know how to, like, what it's doing wrong, but then when I have to like verbalize it like you just did, for some reason, I don't know. Like,
no, that's okay.
Hard time doing that.
That's what we should work on. That's what the good of this is to see if like and like it's good to like see it visually and be like, okay, what did I do? Well, in my conclusion, I'm assuming if I don't have this, there's no way that I can have this. When we don't know,
Yeah.
there's no reason for us to make this assumption. And so for our answer choices, the questions we ask ourselves, one is, did it happen? Because some of these answer choices will happen, but not be the flaw. So you ask yourselves first, did it happen? Or these answer choices will be a legitimate flaw, but it just didn't happen in our argument. So if we say no to the first question, we just cross it off. The second question then we ask is it a problem? This is a thinking LSAT demon guys two-tone approach. But yeah, so let's start with A. Fails to draw the conclusion that the play will not be both adapted as a movie and be revived at the play rather than it will do neither. Does that happen? Do we fail to draw the conclusion that the play will not be both of these things?
No, I think it does draw that conclusion. Because it says it's neither going to become.
What does fails mean? Fails to draw the conclusion?
Okay.
Fails to draw the conclusion that the play will not be. Do we draw the do we fail to draw? So this says like we do not draw. So what fails to draw means like it does not draw the conclusion. So it does not draw the conclusion that the play will not be both of these things, rather than it will do neither. Technically, this happened. Technically, we do not draw this conclusion, right?
Right.
Yes.
So we would say yes to the first question, ironically.
Right.
But when we ask that second question, is this a problem? No, the problem is not that we did not draw the conclusion that they will not be both of these things. Wait, feels that the play will not both be. Sorry, let me re-say that. The problem is not that we did not draw the conclusion that the play will be both of those things, right? Is that the problem?
No.
No. Do you do that? Sorry, that's really worded. Fails. I hate when it has fails, not in them both, rather than. So it's yes. So do we see why that one's wrong? This one on the test, I would not spend as much time as I just spent reading that to you, because in review, if I missed this question, it took a long time, I would really practice interpreting my answer choices. But for this one, I know what word I'm looking for, which is why I wouldn't spend a ton of time on it.
Mm-hmm.
B, fails to explain in exactly what way the play is unsuccessful. Does it matter why the play is unsuccessful? So here we go. Sorry, let me start over. 1, did this happen? Did we fail to explain why the play is unsuccessful? Yes. We don't.
Yeah, we don't know.
2, is it a problem?
No.
No. Does it matter why the play is unsuccessful?
No.
Not at all. The problem is we know it's unsuccessful, and then we assume that it can't be either of these things then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, C, equates the play's aesthetic worth with its commercial success. Do we do that? Do we equate the play's aesthetic worth with the commercial success? No.
I wouldn't even read that after I saw aesthetic worth, because it didn't talk about that at all.
As soon as we have a no, we get to cross it off. So no, moving on. D, presumes without provide. What does presumes without providing justification mean?
Assumes.
So I love crossing all that off and putting assumes. Assumes that there are no further avenues for the play other than the adaptation as a movie or revival at the Decade Festival. Do we assume that?
Yes, I think so.
I don't think so.
It says neither. Yeah, it says neither nor.
No, we don't assume that, because we just can't have we're saying that they just can't have these.
They didn't. Yeah.
So so hopefully he's our right answer. I just took us down a rabbit trail. E, fails to recognize. So this means doesn't consider or doesn't take into account that the play is not satisfying. Oh, look, that the play is not satisfying one sufficient condition
Mhm.
does not preclude it's satisfying a different sufficient condition for these two things happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like there could be another, even though being successful is sufficient for these, maybe having $1 million also is sufficient for these. And yeah, the film's not successful, but this person has $1 million, so they get to go to the festival. Who knows? So our answer is going to be E. Did that make it sound easier at least?
Yes.